Hello, I'm Craig Boyd, and I am a professor of philosophy and humanities at St. Louis University in the School for Professional Studies. I've been working online for the last 10 years and have developed some what I call quick fixes, or the theme I'm working with here are Boyd Bytes, to help you transition quickly to online teaching if you're really unfamiliar with it. So this short video here I'm doing is on discussion boards. How do you use discussions effectively, and how can you kind of use them in ways that mimic as best you can in-class teaching? So the first aspect are the nuts and bolts. So I ask my students to post at least 3 times per week, and this is on a schedule usually of Wednesday nights, Friday nights, and Sunday nights. So this provides some kind of continuity. So after Wednesday night, you can see what's going on. After Friday night, you can see what's going on there, and Sunday nights as well. And they will get credit for posting on time. If they don't, well, then they lose points. I also, when I set up the discussion board, I use, this is the term in Blackboard, participants must create a thread in order to view other threads. This forces them to come up with their own thinking on this rather than looking at someone else's and saying, yeah, what Bob said, that's what I think too. So it forces them to engage the material. I always have them respond at least once to others' posts. Sometimes it's a classmate, sometimes it's mine. Sometimes I'll enter into the discussion and I'll say, yes, but what do you think about this? Or you didn't develop this very well, so try to take this a little bit farther. Their post should be at least 170 words in length, and these are such that they're just not getting away with one sentence or 2 sentences, or saying something like, yeah, I agree totally. And this takes me to this issue of making sure posts are substantive. By substantive, I mean that they actually engage the issues, they ask questions of the materials, and they are really kind of seeing where the arguments go. Because otherwise you're going to get students who say, yeah, Jan, I totally agree with what you were saying. I've had the same feeling all my life. And you know, that's just how people are. And some people are different, like you and me. And then they go on like that for 5 or 6 sentences, and they are completely vacuous. So you have to force them to engage the materials in a way where they are looking at specifics. So what specifically from the reading, or what specifically from someone else's posts came out that you wanted to challenge, but you also have to take it farther. So just don't simply leave it there with agreement. You have to engage it either by challenging it or taking it farther somehow. And if you have a large class, don't feel like you have to respond to each and every post. This will be exhausting. You'll never get done with it. So look through the posts. Sometimes you may want to respond to an individual here or there, that type of thing, but see what's going on throughout the post. You'll find themes. When you see those themes, respond to those themes, and you can do that periodically 2 or 3 times throughout the week, so according to their schedule. And so what you do is you kind of clump them together, and you either post a thread of your own, or you can post a video, and sometimes they're more effective. You can call out students by name saying, you know, Pat had a really good comment on this here, and this speaks to something that was going on elsewhere in some other materials. Now, moving on to content. First, I always try to use either a case study to engage them, a reading, a video, or a web-linked article for their responses. The case studies are helpful, I think, in terms of engaging them. The readings, sometimes you can find these online, especially things that are out of copyright. So oftentimes you can find those. You can find a video like the crash course videos or a web-linked article, and your library might even have e-reserves. This is a way for you to avoid copyright problems, and your students can access those materials. Second, use a list of questions for them to respond to. So don't just simply have one question and leave it there. Have 3 or 4, make them developmental, and maybe overlap in important ways so that they can see the progression of where you're going. Third, have the discussion questions begin maybe with a definitional question or a summary. So you can ask them, for example, is Augustine's account of the Trinity? How does he explain the Trinity? Or how does Augustine distinguish between the city of God and the city of man? Or you could ask a question like, how does Kate Mann think about privilege and how that affects our relationships in terms of uh, gender differences and power differences, or ask the question about Nietzsche. How does Nietzsche make a distinction between ressentiment and the everyday ordinary use we use for resentment? So get the definitional question or a summary of the material out there to begin with, so that demonstrates that they know the material and they've engaged it. Fourth, ask them how the materials presented were new or may have challenged prior views. So they might have come into class thinking one thing or approached the readings in one way, but it totally challenged what they were thinking and how they've responded differently and what they think is right or what they think is incorrect. And so fifth, have them offer substantive arguments of their own that go beyond their own perspectives or the reading. So have them critically engage the materials. Ask them to go beyond simply whatever it was that they brought into class with them. So, and you can do this on levels that are appropriate for first year students, second year, third year, fourth year, and even graduate students. This can work. So good luck.